Hey, welcome everybody. As some of you are aware, Anderson has made the decision to move from SOCON to a company called Samsara. It's quite similar, but there are going to be some key differences. I'm going to go over the app here. The main differences are primarily, there is no more screen that is going to be in the coaches. So with SOCON, there was that screen that was hardwired into the vehicle. Instead, now we will be solely using our phones. So everything happens on our phone, which I will go through here. Okay, so for starters, let's download the app. Unlike SOCON, the Samsara app works really well. So it's both in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. It's this little owl, a white owl with a blue background called Samsara Driver. There is also another Samsara app that is the admin portal. I have not got that ironed out yet, but you guys will also be using that because that's where the map will be located. So yes, we will also have a map similar to SOCON. Okay, so when you log in for the first time, this is going to be your welcome screen. If you want to follow along, that's fine too. Maybe pause this video, download it, and follow along. I'll try to take it slow here. So fleet ID, that's going to be our DOT number, 337. Username, that is your first letter of your first name as well as your last name. And then the password is your 4-digit code. So for me, it's all lowercase, it's E Anderson, and then my 4-digit code similar to SOCON. Then you'll click sign in. So when you sign in, you'll be immediately prompted about your unsigned logs. I only have 3 at the moment. When you log in for the first time, I think you're going to have about 180. Just sign them. I have taken care of that part on my back end with the transition from SOCON to Samsara. So just sign them and we'll move forward after you sign that bulk here. So for now, you could either press review and certify or skip. I'm going to press skip for now. Okay, then it'll bring you to this screen. So as you can see, if you look closely, there's 2 boxes. The top one is vehicle, and the bottom one is shipping ID. The shipping ID is going to be the trip ID with like the 47 number. And so we're going to start with the vehicle here. If I click there, it's going to bring up a selection of vehicles. It's going to put the ones that are closest to you on top. So I'm going to select vehicle number 10. You just click by that where it's circled in red. So then it brings up this screen, it says, oh, number 10 is a 2006 Prevost coach. Great, I'll click confirm down here in the blue. Now it says there's unassigned driving on that vehicle. Similar to SOCON, I'm going to highly recommend that you just cancel and ignore all of those because I, as admin, handle that on the back end. I run a report about 3 times a week that assigns those. So just leave that to me so that you don't get accidentally assigned movements that were not yourself and they might be in a spot that is impossible. So just ignore them. Similar is the best practice and I will take care of them. Okay, then we're finally into number 10. Next thing is your shipping ID. If you click in there, then you'll type something and then click save. So I typed in 476543. I click save. Now I'm in there. I'll go down to the bottom, click done. Okay, this is like the home screen here. So it kind of has the SOCON look with the different bubbles. I think that's because it tries to keep everything separated. So as you can see in blue, we got HOS, hours of service. Green is DVIR. The orange one is routes, which we're not going to use at the moment. Purple is documents, which is going to be where the fuel is at. Vehicle just brings up the vehicle you're in, not that important. And then the team driving, also not that important. So I'm going to start with hours of service here. So I'm going to click in the blue, similar where the red arrow is pointing. Okay, so that brings up your time. I know you guys all like to see that. I'm going to try to get this until break removed because it's obviously inactive. It's for trucks, but until farther notice, that might still be there. This obviously shows where it is. If I want to change my status, I'll click in this top bar, which is where it says I'm off duty at the moment. from the main screen, you can notice that that same bar exists up there, so you could also press it from there without going into the hours of service section. Once you click there, it's just going to bring up all of the choices. Again, I'm going to try to remove the sleeper berth, but I haven't yet at the moment. Right now I'm off duty. I'm going to click on the orange on duty, and then it will look like this. The blue square around it will move, and then I'm going to click save. It grabs my location from my phone, which at the moment is Greenville, Pennsylvania. Okay, now as you can see up top, it says I'm on duty, and I've been on duty for 1 minute because my 15 hours went to 14:59. This arrow up at the top left is the back arrow, which will then take me backwards. But if you were to scroll down on the hours of service page, it'll show you your unsigned logs. Okay, next I'm going to cover the DVIR. This is a little bit different than SOCON, which I will go over in detail. So click on the green button in the DVIR. There's no DVIRs on number 10 right now. It would have the old one, but we're going to create a new one down here in the blue. It populates the information like the vehicle, the VIN, the location. Scroll down, it takes the odometer, the license plate. Scroll down, and you will see this information. So one thing that's different, there's a pre-trip and a post-trip. You can select which one you're going to be doing. This is the part that I really love. You can now take photos in your pre-trip with your phone. We are going to enforce this for the pre-trip walk-around. If there's not damage or defects, you don't need to, but this is going to replace the video cameras that we found to be unreliable here. So if I click where the red arrow is pointing on the driver, for example, it's going to ask me, do I want to take a new photo or choose one from my library? So you can either do it in the app or not, whichever one you find better. I'm going to click on take a photo. It's going to bring up my camera. I get it to where I want it to be, and then I press this check mark down here where the red arrow is, and that will submit it. So now, as you can see, I took a picture of the driver is what that specific section is. So now we're going to add some defects in addition to that. So I'm going to click the add defects. There's a long list similar to the SOCON. Check what's appropriate. Please add comments. The mechanics love adding comments. So I'm going to select tire chains here. If you want, you can take a picture, which again, very nice. And you can enter comments down here. Pictures are going to be encouraged. Comments are always great. Similar to SOCON, there's not a submit on this, so you can either press this arrow in the top left or this done in the top right, whichever one you see best. You'll get back to this screen. And then there's one final piece that I absolutely love. SOCON was not able to successfully do this. And after you add your defects, you can see that I was on tire chains and my note was test, because I don't want to accidentally flag the mechanics with a tire chain issue. But the part that I love is at the bottom here. I'm going to note if number 10 is safe to drive or unsafe to drive. So with that, that allows us to add defects such as like DVD player not working or something like that. The vehicle is still safe to drive without a working DVD player, but now you're able to write it up without placing that vehicle out of service. So because of that, I absolutely love how they've done their DVIRs, and I hope you do too. Then click next, and we will submit it. Okay, I went over that. This is what the submission screen looks like. It just says, I clicked that the vehicle is safe to drive. So it says safe DVIR for number 10. I certify that vehicle 10 is safe to drive. You submit and certify. DVIR is pretty straightforward. I love the fact that they added picture capabilities and as well as safe versus unsafe, which is it turns a black and a white into a nice, or a gray area into a nice black versus white. Okay, the final thing that you should be using for this is fuel records. That one is a little hidden, unfortunately, but I made it as best as possible. So in the documents in the purple is where the fuel is located at. So right now there's not any documents, so you're going to create a new one. There used to be a ton in here. I deleted all of them to leave only fuel receipts because that's what we're going to use 99.9% of the time. So click on that. It'll bring up this. There are two required things gallons pumped and the address of where you're at. They don't actually need the address. I'll show you what I did here. So let's click on gallons pumped, type in how many it was. I used 89. I guess I didn't have any decimals because I got it right to this 0.00. So 89. Then the location is also required. So click next here. I typed in lot and it took that. So after you're done that, you can either submit by clicking next a couple times. That'll bring up a clock, which you just press OK a couple times, or you can just press back, which you can do to skip that. And then you'll have this, sorry, this is on dark mode, so it's black, just this one slide, because I had to go back and grab this. But you can see that gallons pumped is checked here, as well as the address. So then all you'll do is submit the document, and it's rather easy. It'll take you literally back to this screen. Okay, then there are a couple things that I'll cover here at the end. One of them being the file transfer, because it's not very self-explanatory how to get there. The other one being to look at your logs. So in the hours of service section, you click in there. Again, that brings up your time. If you scroll down just a tiny bit, at the bottom here, on the left is your log. On the right is roadside. Roadside is very cool. I'll show you how that works after I go through the logs. If you click the logs, it's going to bring up your log. Go figure. Mine is very basic right now. All I did was log on duty around 7:44, and that's where I've been for 2 minutes. So I just took a screenshot of that, and that's what it is, but that shows your day. Up at the top here, you can go back in time, but obviously not forward in time. And if you want to edit it in the top right, you can go through those processes or just call me to let me know. But I would prefer you try to figure it out for yourself before you do that. Okay, the other part is the roadside inspection. Now, this piece is very cool. So some of you might be concerned that now your logbook is on your phone, and I don't really want to just hand my phone over to a police officer. Well, Samsara thought of that, and when you press that roadside, it actually brings up this screen because you're going to create a temporary PIN. That PIN can be as easy or as difficult as you want. I made it 1, 2, 3, 4 for this process, but what it essentially does is it locks your phone so that when you hand it to the officer, they can only see what they need to see. They can't go through like your pictures and stuff and your other stuff with your logs and stuff like that. So you'll type in your password and then you'll click the blue lock and continue. Then it says it's ready for inspection. You may now hand the device to an inspecting officer. Great. Okay, so now they have exactly what they need. This is my information, and my log is down here. Has my vehicle number, my VIN, my office's address, our DOT number, all that stuff, my license number. It has everything they need. The other nice thing it has is if you notice up here with the blue text, ELD in-cab materials. So before, there was 2 things that needed to be on board: instructions for operating your ELD, as well as transfer instructions for the officer. Both of those are within this link right here that the officer could click on the phone. And then the transfer button up here in the top right is where he will do if he needs to get your logs and info onto their computer or email or whatever like that. So really simple. Once you click this back arrow in the top left, it's going to ask you, it's going to say, hey, you can't do that without a PIN. Re-enter the PIN to get back to the Samsara app. Pretty straightforward, much easier than SOCON from the test that I did so far. Okay, last but not least, I'll just go over a couple things. I didn't take any screenshots, but up here in the settings is where I personally would go to dark mode because I know when you're driving at night, you don't want your background to be white. So I recommend dark mode. We could send you messages, which would end up in this little envelope here. I've not actually tested that feature yet. Not sure what the trophy is, so let's not worry about that for now. And then finally, logging out. You can either log out with this square with the arrow, or I will go over how to log off duty and stuff. So first of all, when you're on duty, similar to SOCON, the vehicles will automatically put you into driving. There is a period of time, I believe it's 6 minutes still, similar to SOCON, where if your vehicle is idle, it'll move you back to on duty, not driving. Also similar to sock on, it will not ever move you from on duty to off duty. So you have to do that. So it's similar to when you moved on duty. You click up here, then the blue square will be on here on duty. You just click off duty, click save. After you click save, it's going to say you signed off. Do you want to go off duty and sign out of Samsara and also this vehicle? Or do you want to just go off duty? So if we just go off duty, that's what's going to happen here. After you go off duty anytime, it's always going to prompt you, hey, you have unsigned logs. I have 3. So you can either sign out anyway or review and certify. So if you click sign out anyway, actually what I did go off duty and sign out. So it'll still bring this up. You can either review and certify or sign out anyway. I clicked sign out anyway, and it brings up this screen that kind of just says, hey, you're signing out of the app. You may lose unsaved changes. As I mentioned earlier, this is the other way to sign out of the app. It would not be good if I did it right now, because if you notice, I'm on duty. So if I were to sign out here, I would remain on duty. But that's all I have. It is very simple to use from what I've seen. I know that change is not always taken well, especially when it's technology. But I do think that this is a positive step moving forward for Anderson. There is going to be a small hurdle to get over at the beginning, but once we get used to this, it will be a net positive change for everybody involved. Myself, I'm probably the biggest benefactor, but I do think that the little things that this new Samsara program can do is going to help out you guys as well. So as I mentioned at the beginning, there are 2 main differences. The one I covered where this is all going to be on your phone, not on a built-in screen. The other thing is going to be that this device at the moment does not have a safe start. SOCON was required you to log into the vehicle before it would turn over. That does not exist for this program. So with that said, we all need to be cognizant of that and make sure we're locking our vehicles because they are going to be easier to steal. I'm not actually sure how much the SOCON login was actually stopping anybody. I have not heard anything in my time here, but it only takes one time for it to be a possibly catastrophic event. So please make sure we're all being aware of that as a possibility. And there is a product that this company sells that might be able to do a job of that, and we are going to look into that. But it would have really made the install take a lot longer, and so we were not able to do that from the get-go because instead of the 1 week time period to install all these into all of our vehicles, it probably would have taken over a month to do because you'd have to install something on the line between the battery and the starter. So that's all I have for this. I hope that you get to use this program and start to like it because on the back end, it makes my life a whole lot easier, and I look forward to working with it and you guys. Thank you.